Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about your brain and how your brain can kind of come up with little worst case scenarios for various things that you might be worrying about. All these different things that kind of go on in your life that you kind of think about and see what could go wrong, how's it going to work out, and why is it going to go wrong, how have you messed this thing up this time, what's going on, why is everything sort of wrong, right? First off, I'd like to segregate this into sort of two halves. So you have active worries and passive worries. So active worries are things that you are worried about that are sort of material, that are real, that have actually happened, and that are events that you are reminiscing in a worrying sort of state. You're sort of going, oh, that happened, and then that's going to cause this other thing to happen, and then that thing that I think will happen that was caused by this thing that already has happened will cause this much worse thing to happen, right? So that's sort of active worrying, at least in this definition, right? And then there's passive worrying, which is worrying about things that haven't happened yet, but that you suspect might happen. Right? And passive worrying, don't get me wrong, can become active worrying. It has happened. I've had various things that I've sort of laid down, I've sort of gone, Josh, don't worry about it. It's just your little anxiety's going, don't worry about it, okay? Everything will be fine. And I'm saying that to myself, right? And then the thing that I was actually worried about and having that little anxiety about actually happens, right? And so that passive worry has become an active worry, right? And now that thing has happened, I now have to worry about the consequences of it and then the events that those consequences are going to cause, right? And then how am I going to deal with those consequences? So both are just as important as one another. There's no, important one. Don't worry about the passive worries, just forget about them because they're not real. Just worry about the active worries, right? No, they are both two sort of halves of the same coin. But active worrying takes I think it should take a priority in your brain, because an active worry is something that has already sort of happened, whereas a passive worry is something that you fear might happen, right? And if something has already happened and there is a consequence to what is going on that you are kind of living through, your worry should be, your worry space in your brain should be dedicated to that active worry, rather than already having to deal with the active worry, which you're going to have to deal with no matter what, also trying to deal with this passive worry, which might not actually amount to anything. So it's not that you shouldn't worry about the passive worries at all, but you should sort of take a look at what is going on. Why are these things happening? Why do you think that this worry is something that is potentially a problem? Why are you scared of this? What's going on here? And how can you sort it out? How can you deal with it? How can you turn this worry into a non-worry, into a non-issue, something that has been, like the book has been closed on it? How can you do that? Well, there's a few different ways. With a passive worry there is. First off is to really sort of dig deep into the issue, what's causing it in a mental capacity, get into nitty-gritty specifics that are so finely tuned that they are just unique to you and only you, something that no fucking YouTube video can impart onto you, right? Look at, say if it's a person that you've got an anxiety about, maybe a bully or something like that, right? Take a look at the various events that have happened around that bullying sort of scenario, or even suspected bullying, right? And you're trying to figure out, are you being bullied or whatever. Take a look at the various events that are amalgamating to create this worry, because you're not walking around with each of these worries like at the forefront of your mind. You're kind of sitting there with the conclusion already at the beginning, but without sort of thinking about all the stuff that leads you to that conclusion. That stuff is happening in the subconscious, and your conscience is dealing with the ramifications of your subconscious, right? So take a second to just dive into your subconscious and extract all of those unspoken things in your mind into clear, conscious reminiscences, right? Oh, this bully sort of said this sort of thing to me. We're just using bully as an example. He said this to me on Monday, and then on Wednesday, he sort of laughed at me while I was sort of trying to do this. And then on Friday, I heard him sort of whispering to that other guy, and then they both sort of looked at me. That could have been something else. But the laughing thing, I'm fairly sure that he was actually laughing at me. And that Monday thing, when he said something rude, that was just outright rude. So That's 2 out of 3 things. But you could even call it 2.5 things, because you kind of have a suspicion that, you know, they were pointing and laughing at you, because, you know, anytime someone does this sort of like, you know, that kind of thing, right? Come on. We all know what you're doing. You're taking the piss out of us, right? It's obvious. So take those various thoughts and memories, and the more you think about specific details, the more specific details will actually come to your memory. It's the same way, say you meet like an old school friend, right? Years down the line, and you're reminiscing, and you're telling stories back and forth. You find yourself, do you find yourself telling stories that you don't remember, but because you're now with this person, suddenly you remember them because they've made you remember? It's the same with this, in trying to extract the subconscious into the conscious. More stuff will float to the top of the subconscious, around the bottom of the conscious. If we're thinking of it almost like a sea, now the fish have come up to a level where you can actually get the rod in and the bait will actually stay there, rather than being too deep into the ocean for the rod to actually get anywhere near it. All right, so take a look, extract your subconscious into the conscious, because your subconscious mind is really good at sort of processing information. However, it's not good at telling you how it's processing it. It just sort of does it. It's the same way that I don't know how a computer works, but I know how to use a computer program. It's the same with the brain, right? If I knew how to do computing or programming, right, I could get a job in programming and be making like £100,000 a year. Try and figure out how to do that with the brain, okay? My phone keeps buzzing. Why does it keep doing that? It's getting in the way. I am trying to record a video. Jesus. No respect, right? Anyway, so when it comes to your mind and active and passive worrying, right? I'm thinking about this, right? Because yesterday I was in a real total awful mood, right? And it was an active worry. It was about something that had happened a couple of weeks ago that I was sort of dealing with the ramifications of, and I was worrying about those ramifications and the consequences of it, right? And today, and I kind of sort of came to conclusions, and I managed to sort of fix a lot of those sort of worries in my head. Yesterday I managed to solve all of that, and today I'm not worrying about yesterday's stuff in particular, but I'm still in a worrying mindset, right? An anxiety-prone state. And so I was walking here, and my brain started like giving me little scenarios, like fake scenarios, like this person is talking smack about you, or doing this secretly behind your back, or this person is doing this, or like all those people over there, they're only pretending to be your friend, and stuff like that, right? And then I sort of said to my brain, you know, you're just making shit up at this point just so you have something to worry about. None of this actually happened. You just made all that up, right? Like one of them was like was me worrying about like one of my best friends just being just an awful person, right? And I thought, hang on, this hasn't happened. My best friend's a lovely person. Why am I sort of trying to ruin everything nice around my life, right? Through this passive worrying about something that hasn't actualized yet. But at the same time, I think the reason I'm doing that is because I have been burnt before by doing passive worrying, shutting it out completely and neglecting it, and then it comes to fruition. So I had one of my best friends sleep with one of my girlfriends, right? And I never spoke to either of them again, and they knew each other, like, so, and they were sort of seeing each other like in my house while I was going to work and stuff. And so I've kind of taken the fact that anxiety came to fruition, and now I'm applying it almost like a trauma response. I don't want to call it a trauma response because that implies I'm traumatized by the experience. Well, I'm not. I'm just using, I think trauma response is a decent term that you can understand. Like, you know, you learn a lesson and then you apply that lesson onto the next thing. The next time any kind of scenario that even raises a suspicion of anything like that happening again, it's made me more hyper-aware of that kind of thing, right? And more suspicious of people as a result. Like after that happened, I started like just chopping people out of my life left, right and centre, right? For reasons that before I wouldn't have like I've been happy to keep them around, but now I sort of grew a backbone as a result of it. And so passive worrying that becomes active worrying, that then becomes solved, is something that then allows you, gives you a defense mechanism against future passive worries, right? I remember the first girlfriend I ever had, I was very sort of jealous because I'd never had a girlfriend before, but girlfriend had a boyfriend, right? And so I was sort of like jealous that they'd sort of slept with people and I had never slept with people, and like I knew it was stupid, right? But my brain wouldn't let me out of it. And so I managed to solve whatever was going on, that little jealousy. I managed to solve it, right? And then with the girlfriend that came after that, it sort of about a year in, I started to notice that little jealousy was coming back, right? But it sort of went away again because I was like, I've solved this issue already. It's the same way that your immune system develops an immunity to like a new virus or whatever, you know? It's that kind of thing, but for a mental capacity, right? So you solve an issue, and then anytime something similar to that comes back, that then in turn makes you more able to deal with it, right? The same way, like the first job that you ever worked, you probably weren't a very good employee, right? But then by your 10th job, you're a much better employee, even if you're in a different field, right? Even if it's the first time you're in this field, you're probably more able to take in new information and learn and understand how to get on with your co-workers and stuff like that, because you've learned through experience, because you've managed to solve this stuff in your mind. Because the first job that you had, you know, you'd have been having all sorts of like, I don't know, passive worries about all sorts of little things that go on in the brain, you know, like anxieties about like your performance and stuff like that, and you feel a lot more stiff and unable to actually get stuff done, and you're more shy because you're basically a kid still. And then as you grow up a bit, you get more and more, sorry, more and more capable of dealing with the pressures of a new job, because you've done it a few times, you've been through these motions, you understand what's going on in the world of, you know, work and stuff like that. Same with anything. The more that you get experience at something, the better you'll be able to handle it, and the better you'll be able to deal with what's going on in that sort of sphere, right? And so, can I take these sunglasses off? Yeah. Sort of, not really. I'm gonna keep them back on. So I think just to sort of conclude this, I would say that sometimes your brain makes stuff up just to get you agitated. I don't know if that's everyone, maybe that is just me, but you know, there's loads of people that have like, you know, depression and stuff like that. And you know, I imagine that overthinking and stuff like that is quite common within people, and you know, a hyper self-awareness, right? And that endless sort of dialogue between you and your brain is kind of what makes you you, or at least it's what makes me me, right? And I am both me and my brain, or however you want to think about it. You might think about it in a different way, maybe like the conscious and the subconscious mind, like I was using earlier, which is still a very useful sort of tool to sort of figure out, you know, say if you think a sentence like, oh, that dog looks very big, right? So I've just said that sentence, that dog looks very big. Say I've said that in my conscious mind. I've looked at a big dog and I thought that dog looks very big, right? In the subconscious mind, there's all sorts of little things going on, like cogs whirring. Like, for instance, the idea of what is a dog and what is a big dog. What's the difference between a big dog and a medium-sized dog and a small dog? The subconscious is sorting all that stuff out for you. You don't literally sit there and look at the sky and like think, okay, the sky is blue. You just know it's blue, right? You know what's going on. You know how these sort of things work. You know how the world around you works in general. You know that like this is made of fucking atoms. You know that you're made of skin and flesh and stuff. And when you need to recount that information to make any kind of point, you can do that quite easily because you're tapping into various parts of your subconscious mind. The same way that you know your name, and you always know your name, right? Because it's just part of your subconscious mind. Or the same way, like I was talking about, when you have you meet an old school friend and you start talking and you come up with new stories that you kind of forgot about. They're true stories, you haven't just made them up, but they were sitting in a part of your mind that you don't activate very much, your subconscious mind, right? You could have come up with those if something else had managed to tap into that. It's sort of like, it's like having a hard drive, right? But not being able to plug it in, right? Say you've taken a hard drive out of your old laptop and it's just sitting there and you can't plug it into your new one because like the SATA cable doesn't work. So in this analogy, going out and getting a new SATA cable would be going to meet that old school friend, and plugging the SATA cable in and seeing all that stuff on your old hard drive would be tapping into that old memory, right? And so that's where the conscious and the subconscious kind of coalesce in order to create solutions to the problems that come around, right? It's just an idea of how the brain kind of works. And I would say, try not to worry too much about the passive worries, the stuff that I was talking about, you know, like, oh, so-and-so must think I'm a twat, or so-and-so is doing this, or like, oh my God, I'm such a failure. But no one's ever commented on you being a failure. No one's ever even raised the suspicion of it, but you just feel like everyone's looking at you like you're a dirty fuck, like you've done nothing with your life, or something like that, right? You're sitting there thinking this stuff that never comes to fruition, right? Try and look for signs, little details, almost proof, like gather intelligence like a detective. And if you see evidence towards this being a real thing that you just don't know about yet, then you can give that passive worry a bit more of your attention, right? Compared to something that you have just purely made up, like this passive worry that I've just come up with while I was walking here about one of my best friends, right? I've got that little worry about them just being an awful person, doing something to betray me. And I don't know why that's there, because I know this person, they're a brilliant person. I know that they would never do that, right? But you look for evidence and you see if there is evidence, right? Is there evidence in this scenario? No. Have there been evidences for similar scenarios in the past? Yes. So I understand why my brain is giving the sort of this best friend this kind of anxiety treatment. And it's the same way that, you know, as I said, once you solve an issue, it builds an immunity to it. I'm not like the last time this kind of thing happened where, you know, I was worried about someone betraying me, it kind of crippled me a little bit for a couple of days. Here, I seem to have gotten over it in the space of about half an hour, right? So, and then next time it happens, that might just be a flash in the pan thought and just gets negated, right? So the more that you go through life, the more you experience, the better you get at dealing with the things that come in your life, right? The better you get at dealing with the problems and stuff like that. And the more that you can segregate a passive worry and an active worry, the better a job you'll do at progressing through life in general. And the better you'll do at, you know, evolving into your ultimate form, whatever that may be, whatever it is that you want to do and become, right? And yeah, that's pretty much the video. That's all I have to say. I hope it made some level of sense. I know we've kind of gone through a few different things and a bit of an exploration into the subconscious mind, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a bit too abstract, but I hope you managed to get something out of it. I hope you were able to learn a little bit, or even about yourself, or anything like that. And yeah, thank you very much. I've got to keep those on, it's so fucking sunny. This spring started, so it looks pretty nice, doesn't it? So yeah, thank you very much everybody for watching this video. Please leave your comments below about what your thoughts are on the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind, this idea of passive and active worrying, the whole sort of framework for dealing with anxieties and worry that I've kind of laid out in this video. Let me know what you think about this framework. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you think that there's better ways of putting this stuff into words and stuff like that? Or do you have experience with these sort of things that I'm talking about? Please let me know. Let me know all about that sort of stuff. Leave your life story in the comments as well. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this, everybody. Yeah, take care, everybody. Bye-bye. The chairs isn't going to be a recurring thing. I just sort of took it out for today. So you'll see it in probably like, I don't know, a couple other videos. Ugh. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about the fact that not everyone is always going to like you, right? And that's just kind of part of life. No matter who you are, no matter how pleasant you are, no matter how much of a people pleaser you are, you're never going to please everybody, right? Someone is always going to dislike you for some reason or another. Sometimes it's legitimate, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes they're in the right, sometimes you're in the right. But at the end of the day, not everyone is going to like you, right? And this video is kind of just about coming to accept that. accept the fact that not everyone will like you, like what you have to say, like your perspective, like the things that you're doing or saying or whatever, and they'll just disapprove of it and they'll want to bring you down, or even if they don't want to bring you down, they kind of just inadvertently do by, just by the fact that they don't like you and the fact that you're kind of around them, right? And that brings you down because they exude a bit of a negative energy on towards you, and you are the recipient of that, right? And look, there's plenty of people out there that don't like me, and there's plenty of people out there that I don't like, right? So I thought this video could kind of be useful for anyone that has anxieties and stuff in the head, sort of going, I don't like the fact that this person likes me. What does this person think of me? Who cares what that person thinks? That person is a twat, right? Even if they're not a twat, right? The fact that they don't like you means that what's the point of trying to reconcile some kind of thing? Do you respect this person? Do you want to continue some kind of relationship or friendship or whatever with this person? Do you want this person in your life if they're going to make you feel like this? And if the answer is yes, then sure, go for the reconciliation route, right? There's plenty of things that, we've all done wrong that have affected other people in negative ways, and it's good to repent for all that, right? That's all well and good, right? But by the same token, that doesn't mean that you should just accept what other people have to say if it's a negative thing towards you. Not everyone has a valid perspective on your life, right? Only the people that really know who you are can sort of say what you should do or how you should have acted with any kind of authority or legitimacy. And that's not to say, if you see like an acquaintance and they say something really stupid that they just did, that you're not allowed to call them out on it, right? That's totally fine. You can do that, right? Because that's kind of small scale stuff that doesn't really matter, right? Just little things, anything like that. Like, I don't know, you spent a load of money on something, or you made this tweet or whatever, and it was just a bit of a cringy sort of tweet. You shouldn't have made that tweet, or whatever. There's all kinds of things out there that people do that are bad in the long run. We all make mistakes. We all fuck things up. We all say stupid, immature, hostile little things sometimes, and that's partly because the grander world around us influences us and our behaviours in various forms, right? There's so much negativity out there, and there's so much positivity out there, but there's so much negativity out there that kind of gets you feeling like maybe you should be similar to that. Maybe you're doing something wrong by going around being so positive all the time. And that kind of can cause negative influences maybe from you, or maybe someone else has thought that and wants to do the same thing of putting out these negative influences. And I don't think anyone seeks out and wants to be negative, but sometimes people just are. Sometimes people are kind of deep down very negative, closed-minded people, right? And essentially, you just kind of have to make decisions on who do you want to associate with, who do you want to be around, who do you want to participate in your life, and then figure it out according to that as one line of the spectrum, and then also as a sort of y-axis on the spectrum. How easy would it be to get rid of this person from your life, right? Say if you've got loads of family that are really big twats, right? It's hard to get them out of your life, right? You can minimize their impact on your life, but they're kind of there to stay, compared to, Joe Bloggs you met down the pub, right, who turned out to be a twat. You can get rid of him. You just don't even go to that pub anymore. Just go to the pub and ignore him, and have the odd oh, hi Joe, how you doing? Oh, not too bad. Still hate all those things that you talked about hating that made me bored to tears. Yeah, still hate them. Oh, great. It obviously wouldn't go like that. It would go something a bit more like, oh, hi Joe. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, not too bad. How are you? Yeah, good. Yeah. You see the game last night? No. Oh, well, neither did I. Just thought I'd make some small talk. Yeah, that's fair enough. Bye. It would go kind of like that. There's always going to be those awkward moments in your life. There's always those times where something happens that's just kind of shit and miserable and just kind of, it lingers on the mind. I've had so many little awkward interactions and stuff. And I consider that, my brain would consider those on par with some of the most negative things that people have done unto me, right? My brain puts those on the same plane, the same tier, right? When they're not even comparable, really. Me being a little bit awkward and saying the wrong thing compared to someone that has done something actively really bad and hostile and very petty and negative and immature and so on and so forth, right? I'm talking about actual things, actions that people take that negatively impact other people's lives, right? If you do something like that, then you are a negative influence on the people around you, right? And if you find yourself in that position, I don't know what you should do other than try and reduce the amount of negativity that you're putting out there. Maybe negativity is like an addiction that you're reliant on, and it's about overcoming that reliance and becoming less reliant on the negativity, because negativity does, in a weird way, release dopamine. That's why these, infinite scrolling feeds of these various social medias work so well at driving engagement and all that sort of stuff, because negativity spreads faster than positivity. It really does. You can get so much mileage out of being negative and being a twat and going, "Ooh, this is a load of shite, isn't it?" It's very easy to just go that route and just be a miserable sod all the time. But it's about finding the balance between negativity and positivity, right? And, the fact that not everyone will like you for who you are, at the end of that, of you trying to make this balance work, of you trying to improve yourself and you trying to make yourself the best version of yourself that you could be the best version of yourself that you could be, and some people still won't like you, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, do you like everybody? No, you don't. So it's only fair that some people won't like you. That's all right. There's people out there that I don't like. There's probably some people out there that I don't like that actually quite like me. And there's probably some people that I like that actually don't like me. And there's probably some cases where it's mutual, and then where we both don't like each other. And then there's some cases where it's mutual and we both like each other. Right? And then there's obviously all the people that I don't know. Essentially, you want to have, as good a quality of those mutual like sort of people, and then you want to have as few of those mutual dislike people and those people that you like but dislike you. You want as few of those. That's the worst one. That's even worse than a mutual dislike, because a mutual dislike is kind of fine. I made a video about it actually, that when I went out to the pub a while ago, there was just someone there that that was going to be there that I just knew I didn't like, and I knew didn't like me either. But it would be so much worse if it was someone that I respected and really trusted and liked that just turned around at that night and just turned out to despise me, I think that would be so much worse and more negative and more grim at the end of the day. So, yeah, I suppose it's just about finding a balance, really. It's just about trying to figure out what works best. And I don't think I've come to any good answer with this video. And I do apologise for that, and that might be a reason why you might dislike me. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be as genuine as I sort of can, and being the most myself that I sort of can be. And if some people don't like that, that's fair enough. If other people do like that, cool. Either way, something's happened. You felt something. I mean, in a weird way, I feel thankful for the people that have caused negativity in my life. Not the massive, major negativities that people have put onto me, but little things. I'm kind of glad for them, because I made a video about this as well, where if someone says something quite hostile to you, it kind of negates your own internal monologue that kind of talks shit at you. If you hear it from someone else, you're not doing it onto yourself anymore for a little bit. And so in a weird way, I'm kind of thankful to people that don't like me and that I don't like. There's something useful out of that connection, probably for them as well. And even then it can be fun to blow steam and talk to someone about oh God, I just don't like that guy. Why not? He's just a twat. He's just a twat, Some people just are. And it's fine, right? And it's not fine actually. It's terrible. I'd rather none of us were twats, but that's not the case. It's not the world we live in. We are surrounded by twats on a daily basis, and we just have to put up with it. And we have to do something to rectify the fact that we know certain people that are kind of knobheads, and we want to try and have as few knobheads in our life as possible and have as many good people in our life as possible. Or at least a quality, an assorted array of quality people that we know from various walks of life. And yeah, that's the video. I'm sorry it's a little bit rambly, a little bit all over the place, but it is what it is, really. It's a hard topic to sort of figure out. It's a vague topic to kind of figure out, and that kind of necessitates a bit of a vague video about it. But if you did get something out of this, then please let me know in the comment section below what that was. What do you think about the people that you don't like, that maybe don't like you in return? Do you think there's someone out there that you respect that you maybe get a sense that they don't like you? How does that make you feel? What from this whole scenario of, like, you know, knowing various people, some of which you like, some of which you don't like, some of which don't like you, some of which, you know, it's mutual, some of which you both love each other and that kind of thing. It's nice to have that assorted array, right? And let me know your thoughts on that assorted array in your life, in particular to you and your circumstances in your little corner of the world, because it might be different in America and China and Zimbabwe and Peru compared to, you know, the United Kingdom, where, you know, there's all this English reservedness going on. Maybe it's a cultural thing, I'm not sure. But yeah. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it was useful to you and your life, and that you enjoyed it all the same. And if you didn't like it and you don't like me, I don't know why you've really watched to the end, but thanks for the 13 minutes of engagement, or however long this video is. So thank you very much, everybody. Take care, and bye-bye. End it on a negative note. That's a negative thing to do, so I'm gonna change it and do it on a positive note. If you're a nice person, I hope you have a good rest of the life. Not just of the rest of the day, not just the rest of the week, but the rest of the life. Yeah, good rest of the life. Oh, I don't want to get up. Oh, got it. Hey up, everybody. My name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Today, I want to talk a little bit about smartphones. Now, I've got a smartphone here for demonstration, right? These came out in 2007, right? As we all know, the iPhone, you know, Steve Jobs and all that, and then you know, you got the iPhone 3, and they skipped 2 for some reason. Then you got the iPhone 4, 5, 5S, 6, 6S, whatever. And then alongside that, Android started up a couple of years later, and they started doing all the same sort of thing, and then they started to dominate the market. And then you had that brief Windows Phone sort of thing. And now, smartphones are ubiquitous, and they've been everywhere for quite a while now. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about my history of having a smartphone and why I'm not super keen on them in general, even though they are useful in life, and I kind of need one for my job now. So I was born in 1999, so I was kind of born into the era of the smartphone. I was growing up surrounded by smartphones and that kind of thing. You know, in my teenage years, I was in high school and everyone would have a smartphone. You know, in year 7 they all had Blackberries, and then by year 9 they all had iPhones, right? I was looking at all these phones and stuff, and I had like this little flip sort of Sony phone. I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't an Ericsson. It was some weird thing where it flipped up, and it had this game of this penguin that goes down and slides around, and it was all, I can't remember if it was a platform or if it was sort of like the predecessor to Angry Birds or what, but it was quite a fun little game, and that was all I needed. And it had that, and it had Snake, and I didn't really need anything else on it. And it could text. And I think I had a camera as well, but I never used the camera, although I probably would now. What I like about smartphones is the charging port. That's one good thing that has come from this advent of technology, is now we have one proprietary we have one connecting device, aka the USB, right? So you've either got ones that have USB, the old USB, or you've got ones that have the USB-C, right? And that's it. Right, and so you don't really have to worry. If you go to a friend's house, you go, oh, can I charge your phone? You go, sure, mate, there you are, have at it, right? You don't have to bring your own charger everywhere. You don't go to a friend's house and go, oh, sorry, can I charge my phone? It's like, no, I've actually got a different phone from you, so you can't actually. And yeah, I know iPhones have lightning cables, and that's kind of an issue still, and like, you know, so we got 3. But 3 is a hell of a lot better than the however many dozens we had before. Every single company having a different thing, different charging port for different models of phones as well. Really irritating, that, and it just makes it hard when you go to old technology that you have like in a drawer. You don't have it alongside the charger, so you can't really turn it on unless you want to go buy these chargers. And I can't be bothered buying a charger for a 20-year-old phone, not doing that. So that is one good thing that has come from this, right? One good thing, okay? Another good thing is, general Wi-Fi data features. I mean, the features are incredible compared to, like, if you went to 1950 and you showed someone one of these things, they'd probably faint or call you a witch or something. And that's kind of neat. I like that. It is a useful tool, right? And I need it for my work, and it certainly helps me with my job, and I couldn't do my job without it. But I don't know, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship, and it's grown more love as time has gone on, right? I got my first smartphone in 2015, in February of 2015, and I got some like Windows phone. I can't remember what. It was like a Nokia something, I don't remember, but it was a Windows phone basically, right? And I remember when I was in the shop getting it, I didn't want it. I felt like I was like opening Pandora's box and that I was going to become like all these drones and just sit there and do this. I know it's a, faux pas to talk about like, oh, everyone's on the smartphone now all the time, it's a terrible thing. But I didn't want to become like that. I didn't want to become another one of those people on the bus like this. I didn't want that. I didn't want to be online all the time. I don't want the internet everywhere I go. I don't want all these features at a drop of a hat. I kind of want to have, a camera and a telephone and a navigation fucking compass or whatever. I like to have all those things, and a DS. That's all. I'm fine having those 4 things in 4 different things. Okay, I don't need it all to be in one device. But now I have one in one device. So I got that smartphone and I hated it. I really despised it. And sure, it was a shitty phone. It was a Windows phone, so of course it was. But I remember I got rid of it after 3 weeks and I returned it, and I just thought, it was almost like a curse was lifted from my conscience. And I was able to go back to a pure civilization of just having like the old Nokia. I think I had a Nokia brick at that time. And then a year after that, I got a smartphone. I got a smartphone for the dumbest reason. I got a smartphone to impress a girl because I realised that if I walked around, because I started to get people commenting on my phone saying it was a drug dealer phone because it was a proper Nokia brick, like the old Nokia bricks. And now the only people I see using those sort of Nokia bricks are like proper like drug addicts and drug dealers and stuff like that. And it's like, so now having one of those phones, you can't really do it. You can't get away with it in a professional setting without people looking down on you, because I'm looking down on other people, and I've probably got one of the more charitable perspectives on people using those kind of phones, right? So I don't like the fact that the social landscape has facilitated this approach to people having old phones and not wanting to, move along with the times as we're all meant to do, right? So I got my second smartphone in I think October of 2016, right? And I had that, and I got Facebook on it, and I got whatever, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Snapchat, all the things that people were using around that time. I remember I was on Snapchat for 3 weeks, and then there was one point where I saw a Snapchat of someone just cooking. And I thought, I can cook myself. I don't need to see someone else doing it. So I uninstalled the app, right? And then I was on Facebook. I've been on Facebook anyway, because I had it on the computer. But then I realized that I was going on Facebook the first thing in the morning. The second I woke up, on the phone. Dun, dun, dun. And there's so much negative stuff on Facebook, even more now, but back then there was plenty as well. So I'd be seeing monkeys getting tortured in zoos and stuff at 6 in the morning. And then I'd be wondering why I was having a shit day all the time and why I was walking around so miserable all the time. It's because I was being, exposed to all this sort of stuff. And it's awful, it's foul, miserable, nasty stuff that is knocking around on these platforms. And I don't want to be exposed to it, especially not at 6 in the morning, not when I've first woken up. I want, sort of happy stuff. I want kitten gets saved from tree, or I don't know, old woman gets a tetanus shot and, I don't know, lives for another 30 years. That's not how tetanus works. But anyway, I want to see positive stuff. I don't want to see negative stuff. And social media likes to spread negative stuff. And social media is spread via smartphones, or smartphones spread social media, because now it's on, here, right? I've got WhatsApp on there. I've got Instagram, and you can't get away from Instagram because it's on, there it is. Okay, there's no data, but I can just get it on the browser. I don't even need the app, and it still works fine on this. So I don't really understand why we need the apps for everything. But they're always bugging me to get the app. Every time I go on it, I have to close a pop-up that says, why don't you get the app? The app will be so much more fun. It's like, it's not. The only reason this is annoying is because you keep putting this fucking pop-up on me. I don't need the app. Right? Because everything I can do on this, and anything that I can't do on it is proprietary and done on purpose so that you make me get the app. So fuck off with that, right? Just let me do it on the browser, right? And I'd be happy. Now I can't even really use Instagram properly from my computer. I can upload photos, but I certainly can't do anything to do with stories. I can't upload a YouTube short from my computer. I have to do it from the phone. Why? Just let me do it from the computer. I know it's like vertical videos designed for phones, right? And the idea would be like, oh, I could shoot a thing on my phone and then upload it straight. Yeah, let that be a feature for people that want to do that. But why can't I upload a short from the computer? I just don't get it. Unless I get one of these like Android emulation device things that go on the computer. And I tried one of those. They're so laggy and it's just kind of shit and it's annoying and yeah, and it doesn't work very well anyway, and I didn't like it, so I packed that in and just, gave up and went for things on the phone. Before I got a smartphone, do you know what I used to do on the bus? I used to read. I used to read books. Then I got a smartphone and I stopped. Slowly, it wasn't like, an instantaneous thing, but over, 3 years, I went from reading 20, 30 books a year to reading none now. I've not read any books so far this year, and I didn't read any books last year, which is bad. I've got one book that I need to pick up and start reading. Maybe by the point this video goes out, I'll have read some of it. But yeah, what I don't like about the smartphones is just how ubiquitous they are with everything, and how they're kind of shoved down our throats. And if you don't want one or don't have one, then you're kind of looked at as like a Luddite, or you're stuck in the past, and you just need to keep up with the modern day. And why can't you keep up with the modern day? And also, smartphones are a very good way of keeping people addicted, right? I plan on making a full video about gambling at some point, because I've worked in the gambling industry and I fucking despise gambling, right? And I would never ever gamble again, right? I would never touch gambling for the rest of my life, right? But what I really dislike is on the smartphones, you can get 888 bingo or whatever fucking gambling apps on your phone, so you can tap into your addiction from anywhere, anytime, no matter how bad it is, right? And they keep so many databases on your personal profile about you and about your tendencies, your gambling tendencies, and when you log on, what's your strategy, blah, 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 blah. And they manipulate you into gambling more by sending you various offers and sending you notifications at certain times and that kind of thing, because it reminds you that you could be doing a bit of gambling now. It's like, oh yeah. It's like if you tell someone who's trying to quit smoking, it's like, you want a fag? You want to smoke? You want to smoke? You want to smoke? You want to smoke? Here, have a smoke. Take one. Take a smoke. Come on, have a smoke. Have a fucking smoke, right? You just keep doing that to this person who's really trying to quit, and they're kind of agitated anyway. They're probably going to end up, caving in and taking that cigarette because you just kept shoving the idea down their throat. And that's what they do with these things on smartphones, is they just, constant notifications like, do this, do that. Oh, go on this app, do this, sign up for this service that we've also got. Post a picture on this, get back into the dating. I've got a fucking girlfriend. Stop giving me fucking emails and fucking notifications about Tinder and Bumble and bullshit. Stop, right? Why'd you stop bothering? Leave me alone, all right? I don't need this anymore. I keep getting fucking emails, right? Oh, we noticed you haven't been on Tinder for a long time. Why'd you fucking think I've not been on Tinder for a long time, you knobhead, right? It's really fucking irritating. I don't know what they want me to do. Do they want me to just go back on Tinder and just use the app? Just for the sake of using it? Or use it like Facebook or something? What do they want from me? Leave me the fuck alone, right? And that's what they all do. They're all constantly barraging me, going, oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you should sign up for this thing. I don't want any of this. Stop asking me to sign up for shit. Stop asking me to fucking use your app. Stop asking me to download your app. Stop asking me to participate in your service and do your survey and fucking upload a video here and do this and upload this picture here. Fucking sick of it. And this is why I'm so sick of smartphones, is because they're just constantly negotiating with your brain Because your brain knows that you shouldn't be on the phone all the time, right? And this thing wants you to be on your phone all the time because it wants you to engage with algorithms and it wants you to, give away your data. That's why the sign-up sheets are all so long for things. They want you to give your data. They want you to post on things. They want you to tweet. They want you to do blue sky posts or whatever. They want you to make Facebook posts and fucking Instagram pictures and stuff like that. I'm doing exactly what fucking Google wants right now by uploading videos every fucking day or every 2 days or however often I do it, right? And you know what's really frustrating is I'm giving all these companies exactly what they want. And the smartphone has changed the landscape of the internet for the worse. Like when I was growing up and when I first got the internet, I was 8, 9 years old, right? And it was just before smartphones had kind of taken off, right? And back then, you would have, like Newgrounds, you'd have, various forums for things and, and it all felt semi-independent or lots of small companies. You had Congramate or whatever it was called, that had platform racing on it. You had so many, and like 8-Ball Pool and all sorts of stuff like that. Now all of these things are owned by like 5 companies in particular. They're owned by Facebook, Meta as they're meant to be called. I'm not calling them fucking Meta. Facebook, right? One owned by Facebook, owned by Google, owned by, I guess, Twitter, Apple, and Snapchat. What else is there? Reddit, 6, Amazon, 7, which does most of the web hosting for most of the internet, or at least a good chunk of the internet. So what's that? 7 companies that own basically everything, and then Netflix, which is one. And these are all the websites that people use now. People don't use like a wide swarm of various websites. Now we all, jump from Facebook to YouTube to Blue Sky to Instagram, back to Facebook, back to YouTube, on to Netflix now, back to fucking whatever, go on Amazon. It's the same few websites, whereas before it used to be so much better than this, and smartphones caused that. And now all the various, things for desktop as well are being redesigned so that it's more all-encompassing for people that are on smartphones, so the buttons are bigger for people using touch screens and stuff like that. And it's just a pain in the ass because I've got a mouse and keyboard. I know how to click a button. I know how to type something in. You don't need to do all this. Please stop. Right? Pack it in, okay? But they're not interested in packing it in because it makes them more money. They know what they're doing and they're doing it very, very well, right? They're getting us addicted to smartphones. And when I say they, I mean the 6 companies I just named plus, I don't know, whoever the fuck else does it, right? But generally, it's companies like that, multi-tech, California or Texas-based companies. I mean, they can be from anywhere, really. TikTok as well. I forgot about TikTok. That's another one. I hate all of this stuff, right? But because of my line of work, as in the film industry, in the media industry, and that kind of thing, doing events and stuff like that, I need to be on social media. I need to participate in social media. I need to play the game, right? And I have to play nice with all these companies. And I hate the fact that I have to do that, right? I'd love to throw this thing down a well and never log on again, right? It would be a bit hellish at first and I'd feel very, very bored because I'd become accustomed to the instant dopamine rush. But eventually I'd get used to it and it'd be fine. It'd be like quitting drinking or quitting smoking or whatever. You have a few weeks where it's a little bit, oh God, I want one. And then, you get over it, right? And what frustrates me about these devices is they're not going away, they're only becoming more ubiquitous and they're getting smaller and smaller and eventually it's going to go from being a smartphone to being maybe it'll be a chip in the eye or a chip in the brain or some kind of like GUI fucking thing in your eyes or something like that. It's going to get more and more ubiquitous and the idea of not having a smartphone, not engaging with all of this stuff is going to become harder and harder and harder, right? And I don't say this from the perspective of a Luddite, right? Even though I am a wee bit of a Luddite, right? I don't have anything against technology in and of itself. What I have a strong dislike for is the impact that it's having on our overall collective. I remember I was walking through the park once and I saw a group of about 6 teenagers and they were all on their phones and they all had headphones in. What are you fucking doing? You're all wearing headphones. You're all sat together and you're all in various little worlds, And people wonder why like the new generation doesn't go and do as much as before. It's because, you know, we're all kind of like this, we're locked in. And as much as, you know, we like to joke about like, oh, people go, oh, phone bad, but you don't like smartphones, you're just a Luddite and all that. And I understand the perspective because sure, smartphones and social media and stuff like that have given us the ability for freedom of information to be spread across the world in as fast a manner as possible. And it's made us all a bit more aware of some of the, you know, problems that go on in the world and stuff like that. And maybe it has benefited us in some form, right? But I just don't feel the benefit, right? Sure, it's all well and good being able to scan a check, right, with my banking app, right? But the consequence of that is that all the bank branches get shut. So I can't go to a bank now and take money out or withdraw money out or put money in. I have to do it all on the internet. Monzo banks, they don't even have bank branches. You just have to trust them. I don't even know where they're based. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what Monzo HQ's like. I've never been. I've never spoken to someone from Monzo. I have to just trust this nebulous app with my money. And yeah, I don't have to go to fucking Monzo. I could go to one that has a bank branch around me. But as time goes on, more and more bank branches get shut. Eventually, they're all going to be closed, and they're all going to be like Monzo. And then what do I do, right? So yeah, there's the options now, but as this technology gets more and more ubiquitous, as it gets more and more widespread and commonplace, and it spreads to every corner of the globe, and even the least developed country, the poorest civilization is able to have smartphones to their heart's content with full access to Wi-Fi and data packages and all that sort of stuff. Even once we've had all of that and it's spread everywhere, then what? What do we do after that? When we live in this post-smartphone, smart everything world, which we are very, you know, steadily, quite quickly actually heading towards. I mean, I presume by the year 2040, there won't be a soul out there that won't have a smartphone that hasn't like purposefully, you know, logged themselves off. And I don't know, I don't like it. I don't like these devices. I don't like what they do for, you know, civilization in general, but I do need it for my job. I need it for my work, and so I can't get rid of it. I'm stuck with this thing, and I have to just keep playing the game. And I suppose I'm just going to have to accept that. So, yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it? I've got this thing forever, and eventually it will take a different form. It won't look like this. Maybe we'll start having round smartphones, but they won't even look like smartphones. Maybe buttons will come back. I wouldn't mind buttons coming back. I know the keyboards on BlackBerries were a bit small, but we could do something. I don't know what, but something at least. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I know it's a bit of a ranty one, but it does come from a place of sincerity. I do have problems with these devices that I just try and figure out how to put it into words. And I don't want to come off like, oh, all technology is so fucking awful, or like, oh, the phone's bad. And I know this will probably get posted on the Phone Bad website, subreddit or whatever, right? Hi to them. Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. So, yeah, leave your thoughts on everything I had to say. If you disagree with me, let me know why. If you agree with me, I suppose you don't really need to let me know why. Just say I agree with you. Or maybe expand on some points in your own way, with your own worldview and your own experience. Tell me your story with smartphones. When did you get one? Did you get one after 2016, before 2016? Did you have one right from the beginning? Have you only just gotten one? Who knows? But you do, I suppose. Yeah, that'll be all from me. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye.